This is Hope Adon right here at Hope TV. This is where you look and you live, and being a Thursday, you know by now, the drill is relationships, and we are having relationship resonance today. And yes, we are looking forward to yet another episode where we will be enlightened, we will be challenged, we will be sharpened, and we will become better people by the end of today's conversation. And so be part of the conversation. We are live on our YouTube channel. Make sure you are sharing the link as well with your spouse, with your loved ones, with your friends as well, so that they can get to learn a thing or two in today's episode. Hope TV Kenya across all our social media platforms. You could be having any question, any clarity in as far as today's conversation is concerned. Any challenge maybe you have experienced and you are wondering, how do I go about this? I believe by the grace of God that our guest will also be in a position to answer. I'm speaking by faith that we have those answers as you are sending them in. So 0708-222-323, that is the WhatsApp platform as well. And we will be gladly respond to all those questions and queries. Right about now, allow me to welcome our guest in studio, Reverend Victor Kabutha. He is our guest to help us with today's conversation. Vic, karibu sana.
Asante. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you.
Asante.
And, you know, as you were coming in, I was excited because it's something also I've tried, you know, to learn. How do I support you know, my better halves vision and all? And so as we're speaking to the viewer, inaanza hapa.
It starts with us.
Starts with us.
Starts at home.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to learning a lot. And karibu sana to the show, and thank you for accepting this invitation as well. For the people who are joining you, seeing you, interacting with you for the very first time, just allow me to give you a few not minutes ni mingi.
No, just a moment.
A moment.
A moment.
I like that. A moment.
Of introduction.
Of briefly introducing myself.
Okay, so my name is Reverend Victor Kabutha.
Yes.
I'm very passionate about marriage. My wife and I have been married for about 25 years, this coming June.
Yeah.
So mine is very easy. We were married June of 2000. So I never forget, because which year is it?
And
so 2025, So we have two children.
Yes.
Our firstborn Victoria is turning 21.
Wow.
And David is getting his ID this year. He's turning 18. Okay. So watu wazima kwa nyumba.
Yes.
Yeah, we thank God. And and we are passionate about marriage, all things marriage, healthy marriages, in which case then we work with men on masculinity issues, because, you know, marriage takes two. So, and then we also work with the women, and then we work with singles as they are courting and dating. They're asking, you know, when they're younger, they're asking how far is too far, you know, intimacy, whatever issues, boundaries in relationships and all this. How do you know, how do you pick the right one? So we go all through that process into courtship. Then we do the premarital counseling, which is the introduction to the covenant. Now, this is Christian biblical marriage. Yes. And so that's what we do. Then we walk with them after that into the marriage. We normally tell them once we have it's about 10 weeks. Yeah. The course that we do for premarital counseling. And then I say about 10 weeks because by the time we're done, we've bonded with the couple so much, and we only do one-on-one, which means we mentor and we work with the couples very deeply. Then we follow up now when they're married. We call them up and we're saying, okay, those things we were telling you, or maybe they call us in prima, you know, were those things relevant now that you're in the marriage and you're living together and discovering, you know, now this beyond theory, this is practical.
Yes.
And then we do baby basics when the children come, parenting, you know, getting into all of that. So yeah, that's, then we do some crisis. Of course, now I said I do, but I don't. Where do you go with those tough ones, you know?
Yes.
Because marriage is for better. Let me see. Do you remember the verse? It's for better, for richer, in health. You're not cutting me off. It should be for better for us.
For better for
us.
Yes.
For richer, for poor. So I think we normally go for the health.
For that now, I see now some couples are now having their own, vows.
Their own version.
Yeah, their own version. They have twisted it. And so they are for better, for richer.
For
richer.
Kwanzaa, by the way, have you noticed, I always feel like maybe us pastors will be challenged at the pulpit. Why are you saying sickness and health? Because they don't actually say health and sickness. You say in sickness and in health, which means by default, at some point in the aging process, these earthly vessels are going to frustrate us. Kahoma, nini. And so we are bound in earthly vessels. And also marriage, as we know, there's no marriage in heaven. Marriage, I like to call my wife my exit buddy. That marriage is the place that you come to wait for Jesus together. So are you going to unateza mtu ndio unangoja Yesu ama? So the dynamic in your marriage, you have to understand what marriage is, the covenant. You have to understand men and women are different. Of course, this is 2025, so we can't be on air and pretend that we don't understand. Even the dynamics of the genders are in question today. Where we're saying men are men and women are women. There are some who might say, no, we are in a generation now where men and women can do the same things. If you want to, by the way, change from being a boy to a girl, ni sawa. I mean, we are just living in crazy times. So what is the biblical basis for marriage? And then now to your question, how do you support one another? I think for me, when you sent me that the poster, but I mean the topic. When you sent me the idea question, the form that it came, I took it as a man. Okay, so I'm a husband to Sarah. So your question was, how do you support your spouse's dreams and visions? So do you know your spouse? So all of us have gone to, many of us, even now with free education and everything, you start at primary. When you go from class 1, okay, now me I'm an 844, so what because now we have CBC and there's all these grades. So now you go from class 1 to 8. That's primary level. But nobody finishes 8. Nimesoma sana. There is Form 1. You go to high school. Then from high school, you go to college, from 1 to Form 4. Then we used to have the A levels way back in the days, Form 5, Form 6. So you're doing advanced, you're focusing in on the subjects. Do we treat the marriage the same way? That when I was married, I was in primary. So the way I know my wife is primary level. But marriage is for life. So now I need to go to high school. How do I get a diploma on my wife? As in, so if bachelor's, you go all the way to bachelor's, you can have multiple bachelor degrees, but then you can also do multiple master's degrees, kunata PhD, as in how well do you understand your wife? So that by the time we're talking about spouses supporting one another, it shouldn't come as a big surprise, because I should know the things that are in my wife that, okay, let me put it kienyeji for the air. The things your spouse is complaining about. There is something in that CVT, in that mix, or the things they keep mentioning. Oh, if I had, sometimes they'll even say, it's not about the money. I just want to do A, B, C. Write that, like look for your diary, run out of the room and go on your phone. Now we have, smartphones. That there is always something your spouse seems they want to lean towards. Now let me go back a bit and say that when the relationship starts, we go basically from, like, okay, let me tell my story. So I'm Victor, and I meet this girl, Sarah. And I loved the Lord as a very young person out of high school. I felt a calling in my life to serve him. And the funny thing is, when I met Sarah, she had the same desire. So let me say, that's a good place to start. If you have a common interest, your friendship will explode, because then you're both interested in the same thing. You're both looking in the same direction. But if you find someone who says, who are you, panel beating, I will organize them. And I will move them to where I want them to go. You have a path of resistance for the rest of your life. Because now, and then marriage is for life. So the truth is now, marriages are coming apart. Because where I wanted to go and where Sarah wanted to go, hey, tunavutana. So even your friend groups, and now let's talk about in-laws, if we can delve in. This thing is deep. Even they themselves, they're thinking, okay, when we released you into the marriage, we were thinking for better, for joy, for for progress. So, but then, is it really that it's the spouse who's destroying this marriage? Or is it just that they are seeing our child is not turning into, the one who we brought up is not going in the way. So you must find out in your own marriage, build a friendship with your spouse where you're facing the same direction. And if you're not facing the same direction, because we also can talk about, what is it called? We can, realignment. Is you need to go back to that. So I don't even know if maybe we split it into two parts, this conversation, where the first one is, who are you? Who am I? And where am I going?
Yes.
Then I'm married. Where is my spouse? Who is my spouse? So study. And then where is she going?
Those are two people.
Those are two. So now that means already, if you get this, we were dating before we were married. I need to date again. Don't Java. Hey, kahawa. Then you even do the one for one glass, two straws. Easy pesa. Just talk to me, babe. Tell me where you want to go. And then chances are, first of all, the fact that, okay, all the men listening who are husbands, you get 5 bonga points. The fact that you're asking, who is she, where is she headed? Because then you're putting yourself in the place of a coach, a sponsor. I don't know how to put this. Like, you're the one now saying, facilitator, farmer, I don't know. You're the one, hiyo kazi yako ni kupalilia. If your wife is saying, I've always wanted to go for a counseling course. I've always wanted to go, I wanted to start a business. Look at your finances as a couple and see, can she be at work and start the kabiashara on the side? And maybe, who knows, that business she starts like a joke. She'll quit her job and hire others. So those things, they sound like simple things. Or counseling, a course, maybe online. I mean, and now with, after Corona, everything went virtual. So there's nothing you can't read now. You can do almost any kind of a master class online. Are you willing to facilitate? I don't know if I'm going where we needed to go. Because that's my thing. No. Is if you have a friendship and you're looking in the same direction, then we can talk. But if you're already in different, on different trajectories, then it's me pulling my wife to come where I'm going, or her convincing her weary husband to come where she's. You see, so na hiyo ni mzigo. That one now will create a lot of unnecessary push and pull, tension. Don't forget then, this is marriage. So there's kids to raise, school fees to pay. I mean, look at the economy. The
demands.
So sometimes I like to say this. Get your marriage into a place where let the problems be the problems of the world outside. But nyinyi mko sawa. Because there's already enough headaches without now the two of you becoming like, you talk to my wife for long, she says, this is the guy by the way. Amenufungia. Even my dreams, I can't. Let it be that it's my spouse saying, wow, I always feel free. I can share anything with my husband. And I feel like he's supportive. It might not take place. I don't know if you're getting it. It's not that, it's yes and amen now. No. But it's like we can talk about it. And then maybe, can I also go here? We decide. When the masomo, 2-3 years, then even me, I'll go afterwards. So there's a balancing of, it's not like if there's visions to be fulfilled, ni moja tu. It can go both ways. It should go both ways. So you're both growing together.
I'm listening to you and I'm wishing as many of us can listen to this conversation. I've had people, the wife was thriving and all. But then when they got married, all of a sudden there were issues. I'm not comfortable, my wife, working. I'm not comfortable, my wife going out. Where do we lose it? From where I...
Nimfungie kwa nyumba ama? Okay, that one I don't know where... This one is a challenge. And you're saying about the wife. You're talking about the wife. Let me say it this way.
I'm talking about the wife.
If you're highly ambitious... When you're young and you're single. No, either one. Right. Young man, young lady. If you are an individual who is highly ambitious, the marketplace will swallow you up because this one can go places. We can pay for their training. Again, you can travel. Then marriage comes. And now this is where I want you to be with me now. Vam shipping. Even needs a seatbelt. So you get into the marriage. That same ambition, which now took me to Dubai, to Japan, to Australia. But now, marriage, the essence of marriage is to settle down. Put anchors down, take the kids to school, start. So usually the dynamic in that will be, it feels like the ambition now is in the same positive ambition. In fact, it made you very marriageable. Is that a word?
Yeah.
That it made you very,
pass,
this one can be an awesome spouse. The very thing that made you such a dynamic potential now becomes like, hey, now do you choose money and travel or family?
Family.
So the issue, it needs to be the dynamic spouse, the one who is ambitious, is the one who needs to decide, not the spouse coming. Ni kufunge kwa nyumba sasa.
Yeah.
Because ambition is not a bad thing. And again, this is 2025. Is there a problem with all of us? Like, okay, so let's say Sarah. There's an offer in Dubai.
Yeah.
Why should Sarah feel like ameenda ameniacha? We can go.
Yeah.
See all of us.
Yeah.
So the two are one. Yeah. Fine. Then make a decision. If it's Dubai, it's Dubai. Yeah. Or can we wait and see, again, going back to, there's some things I'm doing, there's some things she's doing. Which one do we feel can come first?
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then that's when you find a spouse visa.
Yeah,
man. Because this conversation is not working, but there's an opportunity. Yeah. And then you know the way opportunities come this way. It's one for, if you don't take it now, 10 people are waiting for it. So you feel like you need to make a quick decision. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time. But for me, I would say, but are you seeing how marriage moves like Gava? Ikona protocol. Otherwise, you find marriages will split.
Yeah.
Because if you feel, no, me, I need to go, and this one is blocking me. So maybe the inner question for all of us is, do you feel as a spouse, evaluate yourself right now, like on a scale of 1 to 10. Are you an enabler, a facilitator? Like what they used to say, the catalyst. You know, when you add a catalyst to a reaction, it speeds up the reaction. Are you kind of that kind of, towards 8, 9, 10 on the scale? Or you are 1 or 2? Yani, kazi yako tu ni kufungia spouse. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough time. We don't have, how are you on a scale of 1 to 10? That's a very genuine, personal question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you. Like we need to be very careful who and how we are getting into this institution
of marriage.
It's a serious thing.
It's a serious. Marriage is sacred.
Yeah.
So what I would say to everybody who is single, choose well.
Yeah.
And choose a friend. I think many of us, we enter marriage, then it's like, even now we use the word partner. It's almost like a law firm.
Imagine.
You're a partner, me, I'm a partner. We are shareholders.
Yes.
But really, the two, biblically, Ephesians 5, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He died.
Died for the church.
So, we struggle in our culture that the wives need to submit. Do you know what men need to do? So wives are submitting. It means at least to our kohai.
Yeah.
Men, we are called to die. So each one is harder. So sometimes it sounds like, why are the women? So, she's bowing, you are in the tomb. So sometimes you need to go back, like you're saying. Marriage is sacred. It is a sacred institution. So I even think that for us, Sarah and I, when we counsel the couples, we have a week when we tell them, you have your life now. You have your bank account, you have your friends, you have your... But then in marriage, you actually augment that. That now it's the price, it's like 2 for the price of 1.
Yes.
That now if I fall, I have someone who can hold me. And we have the Lord as well. So, it says, what is it? A thread of 3... take me to the Bible. What is it? A cord of 3 strands. 3, yes. Is not easily broken. So when you put God as the foundation, then it's very easy to build one another up. Yeah. Because also as men, I think sometimes we feel like we're the ones carrying this thing like we're carrying this thing like it's only us. But really, a wife is a helper, suitable helpmate. Yeah. It means I can tell my wife, now I'm going to get into dangerous territory. So depend. Can I share my struggle about that business, about my academics, about my vulnerabilities openly with my wife? Knowing that my wife will then lean into me and tell me, you know what, you've got this. You can do this. So you see, sometimes we feel like it's only one way. Maybe men are supposed to encourage their wives and cultivate their wives. Yeah, wives also can build their husbands up. That's the helpmate. And the helpmate, by the way, just to go to the scriptures again, Psalm 121, I look to the hills. It's a question. Where does my friend, the word help, and in Psalm 21, who is the help? the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. But many times we think of the helper being that your wife as a helper, how do I put my hand like this?
Yeah.
Is a junior. No, it means she's the one who guards your anointing.
So she's powerful.
When your wife tells you something that she's worried about you, listen twice.
Yeah.
Because it means kuna kitu anaona. She can see, and she's in your corner.
Yeah.
She's for
That's
you.
the beauty.
Now that's a biblical marriage. And then it becomes mutual. So now going back to your question, it becomes very easy to be supporters of one another's dreams, one another's visions. Because we also know that many enterprises, it's not the first thing you do that succeeds.
Yeah.
Some may succeed, some may fail. And Solomon, I think in his wisdom, kept saying, you never know which one. So try different ones. So you as a couple now begin to say, hey, do we do a company for tomatoes, onions, carrots? Or like I was saying, counseling. Do we travel and change countries where we live? But no matter how it goes, for better, for worse, for richer now in profit, let's say, in profit or loss, you know that your marriage will outlast any business you begin. Yeah. Now let's also get real with marriage in terms of the longevity of marriage is such that my dreams will be fulfilled as I continue with my wife. Some of us feel, no, my wife is the one and anisumbua me, I need to go. So, but that thing that I'm also jumping out to go and do may come and go. Yeah. Where will I be left? Yeah. So acha nikae na supu. Hey, let me start with
many couples are actually experiencing, even especially later in life, because as you're saying, I have run the race. Now it's time now. So where are you going? Where are you retiring to?
Yes.
And with who?
Now you're talking about seasons of marriage. The seasoned marriages where you have raised your kids. So wajuku. So your kids have kids.
Yes.
They have their own homes. Now you remain the way you started.
Yeah. The two of you.
The two of you asking each other, now what?
Yeah.
And of course we know culturally there's the ushago thing. Either you move back from Nairobi to up country, of course now with urbanization, you find a plot, you build. There's so many dynamics. Or you change countries. You travel out, go out of the country and start another season. But how? Together, not separate.
Let's talk about couples and how effectively they can be able to communicate their dreams. Because at times I feel kuna shida inakuanga pale. How do they communicate their dreams and aspirations to one another?
Freely. There's a reason I'm putting my hand here. There are some things it's like you're playing cards. That one, this one, no. There's something I really want to do. I can't tell my wife. Maybe today we start a new culture. We say, if the two are one, if you go through my phone, am I talking to my friends about my dreams and my wife is clueless? Or did I start with my wife? And be honest, by the way. Babe, there was a day I told you about a dream. Utanifanya ninyamaze. So be honest too about that. But don't, for God's sake, don't quit sharing who you are with your spouse. That's why I said we need to go back to dating. The Ako Kajava, the milkshake with two straws. The waiter asks again, are you sure? No. One, because we want to do that thing that we started with. Generally speaking, when we get married, we're coming into marriage, our resources are not like they are 25 years into marriage. I mean, generally, you're still masomo, you're still trying to figure out what I was talking about. Where do I want to go and who do I want to go there with? Is how we get into marriage. I hope. A good marriage, Because I think, again, like I said, if you're going in different directions, that's going to be a headache from the very beginning. But once you figure out who you want to be, you begin to grow. You grow in resources. And your spouse is also growing with you and growing in resources. So that friendship that you have to keep it as a friendship. Because marriage has other funny things that come in. Now you're raising kids, you're talking about money, which money, okay, I don't know how much time. Is this show 5 hours? So we do 1 hour is finances, 1 hour is intimacy, another hour is another whole, I don't know if that's a week, is about in-laws. Because we are coming from families when we get married. So how do you manage the in-law thing? How do you manage your finances? So today in this world we are in, my money, let me put my hands where they were. My money is my money. And your money now, my wife, her money is her money. But again, biblical Christian marriage. really, if I make 100 Gs, my wife is also making 100K.
Yeah.
How much are we making? It's not 100,000 a piece. It's 200,000 shillings that we can plan with.
Yeah.
And many marriages, now does your wife, now I'm going deep online. Does your wife know how much you make?
That's the other question.
Does your wife even know where you are?
Or even,
does she
what
know?
do you do?
Let alone your dreams, because now dreams are speaking things that are not as though they were. Those are dreams, visions. Daniel, books in the Bible where you're reading things and you're like, Revelation.
Yes.
Things are looking at and saying, wait, what? I was taken to a higher plane.
Yes.
But right now, where you are in your marriage, are you sharing your basic goals? But are you also sharing where you are right now? How you're doing. And finances, I know it's tricky. Maybe that one we have a sidebar with couples one-on-one because it's tricky. I guess we should also not be naive and say, I know that there's a lot of misunderstanding in marriage. So the first thing that happens in a marriage, in a situation of misunderstanding, communication collapse. That's the first thing that will collapse. You stop talking.
Yeah.
So either the option is I talk to someone else, which now is unhealthy for the marriage, or I keep it to myself and die with it. And those two options are very real in our culture today. People are not sharing. Again, they're holding their cards so close, and yet maybe there's a dream that if I just did this, even my wife will tell me, Bwana, you are a genius. This thing needs to go far. So maybe to the spouse, are you receptive to your partner's dreams when they share something? Be careful how you react. Because you can be closing a door. They'll never share again. Uku. So so the flip side is now I go and I achieve my dream. You had no idea. You're not part of it. You're not part of then I come and tell you it's a surprise. Now that backfires.
Because I'm looking at it, especially for men, when you share with your spouse, with your wife, and you're telling her, babe, this is what I'm thinking. And it
can go somewhere.
It can go somewhere. And when you have that burning point and all, you're sharing with all your energy, gesturing and all, then she drops.
So the after.
And she deflates him. She kills him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. But yet, now I don't know if we need another chair. My wife should be here.
She will
because I get some of it and some of it I don't. I'm a man, so even in our teachings we do a lot of the difference. Conversations about the difference between men and women. So men, we think in boxes. We think in straight lines. We think, so for us it's failure, success. There's no in between. Now for me, I've learned in marriage, because now my wife, who is relational and nurturing, kumbe she's not nurturing just my kids. Me, I'm being raised as well. I'm like, which means she covers my mess. So you guys don't see me when I'm in a mess, but now inside the marriage, and this is where the anointing comes. Your wife knows your strengths. She knows your weaknesses. She knows your ups. She knows your downs. She knows your vulnerabilities. So how is that not the same woman that you can tell her, by the way, if you know me this well? See, then I matter. So Genesis chapter 2, they were naked. 1 into 2, Genesis, from the creation in Eden, they were naked, but they felt no shame. In Jesus' name this morning, I pray for every marriage that is listening to this conversation. That you will be naked, vulnerable. Yani not, okay, singuo, but also, if we talk about sex, sininguo, unavua. So your thighs are light or they are dark. Itaonekana kwa ndoa. Which means your strengths will be seen, your weaknesses will be seen, and it's okay. And I think what's happening now is our nakedness is being seen in the streets, which is inappropriate. And going back now, marriage is a sacred covenant. So we need to keep the things. Now, do I go into in-laws and finance, those things? So there are some things my in-laws, they need to see me when my shoes are polished. Ako kaheshima. So the nakedness is tricky. If there's too much nakedness outside beyond the marriage, it compromises. So what do people do again? They put their cards back here. I'm not sharing.
I'm not sharing.
But that's unhealthy. It's like putting a blanket on a shamba. Now there's no sunlight coming. All your the bogas, everything, they will die.
Wow. Profound.
Profound. Profound.
Yeah. That my mess is covered in that.
Is covered.
And so
it's more than just, you get it, it's more than just supporting their dreams and visions.
Yeah.
It's guarding their hearts.
Yeah.
And telling them whatever you're thinking about, we can do. So let me also put it this way. In a marriage, my victory is our victory. Sarah's victory is our victory. My failure is our failure and her failure. I think there's a lot of people who look at their spouse, it's like a partnership.
Yes,
So you in a contract, not a covenant contract. Wewe unaniangusha. So even in a contract, there's exit. And I told you. And I told you this thing. So it has to be both of us agreed. And if this thing, the kawagon goes into the, we went together. Kama kuingia mtaro ni sawa. So both of us now want to find out, why did we go into that mtaro? The two of us in agreement will come back out. And in the process, you funika each other. As opposed to hiding from each other, you hide together. You cover each other together. So even for me, then I can say the things I'm sharing with my spouse so deeply, I'm sharing them in confidence. Nobody will hear about those things.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible says that let the marriage bed be held in high honor. It's not a sexual thing. It is a sexual thing.
Yes.
But are you reading how it's the things which are whispered in couples in a bed?
Yes.
Those are sacred things. God comes now and washes those things, and he leads the couple into now different seasons of marriage. But their openness even now opens the intimacy side. It opens the finances. Now God is like, these people have dreams. I'm supporting their dreams.
Yeah. Because he can see.
He can see. These guys are going places. And then I think the biggest thing also, let's tie it in, is we need more healthy marriages to be examples. And I mean this, marriages that are struggling, but our journey. The times are hard, but babe, me, I'm here with you. For better, now this was the worst. Kahoma, sickness, fine, it's okay. The health will come. These two shall pass. So we need marriages godly Christian marriages that can be vulnerable, that can be open to say it's not easy. But I never wish I was single again. I am so glad. It is not easy. But look at me now, niko na masters. So niko masomo, as in I'm graduating. So even people who see me, they say, wow, you're better off married.
You know, I saw someone was asking yesterday, if you were to go back, you still marry the same person? Wow. No. Kitu tu ifanyike tu. Rudi kwa
time lapse.
Rudi kwa game. And of course, my heart actually bled because of, the anger that people were sharing.
As they reacted to that.
As they reacted, and the pain, the uncertainty, but still they are there. And then you wonder, how do we avoid such, situations, scenarios? So
what you're saying, it's easy to talk to the young adults, young professionals who are not married.
Who are not yet.
They're where? At the threshold. And many of them, unfortunately, are looking at us and thinking, if this is marriage,
and do you remember, if I cut you short, you remember, and I've asked this question to another guest, Gen Zs, wakati wa maandamano, you remember? They used to say what? We only fear what? Hot porridge and marriage.
In the streets.
In the streets. I don't Gen Z. What does that mean?
What does that say about our marriages? Yeah.
So they have seen how dad relates with mom.
Yeah.
How they...
So we need more marriages. I don't know if you're getting... Now it will make sense in that context. To say, by the marriage is hard, but we are working on it. Not marriage is perfect and it will change your life.
No.
And also your marriage is like a garden. If you plant avocados, give it a few years, mangoes. Give it a few years. What you plant is what you will sow. I mean, what you sow, you reap what you sow. So what you're putting in, don't come and ask me for a vineyard of grapes.
No. Yet you planted
strawberries. Mahindi. You planted something else. So I think each person needs to get to that place where they trust God for the for the perfect spouse? Because you see, marriage. Let me now change topics a bit.
Yes, please.
Lawyers. Where do lawyers get their credentials? They go to law school.
Law school, yes.
Architects, they go and they do the drawings, and there's design classes specifically for architecture. You want to be a pilot, you go to flight school.
Yes.
Marriage is the craziest thing I've ever seen, because this is now divine. You walk down the aisle with a girl you like. Now you'll even understand Kamwiste. If in a twisted way, Kamwiste is where kuja kana mimi tuone kama ikitu, which of course, but it's disrespectful for the family. It's a horrible testimony, as in you're doing things backwards. But think about why guys are doing that. Is because marriage is the only place you get the certification at the altar to go and do what you have never done before. You can't be a lawyer.
Before going
without your certificate. And there's a bar, which means if you are not a lawyer according to our standards, you're disbarred, so to speak. If you're a doctor, there's flight school. You have so many hours. Hey, we don't just give you people, carry them in a plane. No. Upper Wilson, start with a small plane for two. You and the instructor. He grabs them.
He can be able to.
So marriage, imagine, is that Cessna, that small plane. You're holding each other like, wait, let's get good at this while you're in the marriage. That means you have to trust God with your spouse. There's a question you asked earlier. Would you go back and change the spouse? I'll actually tell you this. The person you're with right now is the right person. When you marry someone, you develop them and you develop yourself to be the right person, to be the perfect match. So there's no marriage that needs to end so that another one can start. Even though we are doing it every day. Because Nikihama, it's me still going with my attributes, with my... So I'm the one now looking for another girl to say, hey, let's start again. The first time she does something which inanikumbusha, I tell her, boss. So chances are, first marriages, and I think there's percentages out there, they end about 50%. They say that 50% of marriages break, generally speaking. That's a ridiculous percentage. That's 1 out of 2. Second time marriages, it's not that the more people you marry, the better you become.
No.
Akikusumbua, that one goes to 78%, I believe, that those marriages break. Meaning that you're more intolerant, because now you are already hurt. Then someone is hurting you again. Now people even get to the place, I'm not getting married, I'll just be a serial dater. I just have companions, which is a mess. So the person that you're with apparently is growing just like you. Grow together. When they struggle with them and cover them. So what we are doing now is, when someone struggles, we expose them. And for heaven's sake, if I can also bring this up, there's counseling. Through our churches, you can pay a private person. You go and look online and find a credible counseling center. They are there in Nairobi and across the nation. Find people who you can go to, even as Christians, you can go to and get advice about how to maintain your marriage. Because chances are the counselor is not going to ask you, hey, bring that spouse of yours. Because they're hearing from you. The way you tandika your spouse, they're like, hey, aki pole. But really, the counselor begins to ask you things like, so what do you want out of your marriage? Then you say, no, I didn't come to talk to you about me. I came to talk to you
about how.
I'm stuck you, So chances are the change in my marriage that can happen right now will start with me. It's not that I'm going to change my spouse, who is a grown adult. But I can change. And I can control my attitudes. Again, going back to why are we holding cards, I can be patient with them. I can be honest with them. And even if there is conflict, we can get help. But get help that is confidential. Because now what we do is we talk badly about. So me, I meet with you now, I'm talking badly about our wives now. We put our wives on the knee and shred them. So that doesn't really help. But can we get help that is confidential and help that will help us cement that bond that we had committed to? Because I don't think anybody wakes up and thinks at the altar, especially at the altar, when we are flying in with helicopters and balloons and horses, you think people are thinking, by the way, this marriage, 2 days, me, I'm out.
No.
They're hoping for something amazing that will change their lives. But now you have to do the work. You have to do the work.
Let's go to aligning. You have mentioned it before. how do you align, especially for you are blessed that when you got your wife, you are in the same...
Going in the same direction.
Same direction, same page.
Best friends.
Best friends and all. But here you have a couple, they come together, but then again they realize how do they align without hurting each other's...
And they're already in. So we talk about them, they're already in.
Yes, they are already in now. Yeah. When we are dating, courtship, especially as squeezy, ni Java, ni...
You're talking chemistry.
You know, favorite color, you know.
We're being mean to the guys who are dating. Because the flip side is, have you ever thought about this? It's called dating badly. You sit the woman down and say, "Wait, have you had sex with other people?"
Oh.
At you, like the naked, the Genesis, naked and not. But that might be too. That's why you hear now people just talk about the weather, favorite color. They want to start safe.
They want to be.
But then for me, that's why I say you have to be friends, because in the friendship you get to see. I get to see Sarah's friends. Sarah gets to see Victor's friends. Yeah. So already she knows, hey, my gangster. Ama she's like, boss, you ndio nilikuwa nataka. As in, so either way, she sees who I am and the kind of context that I'm in. Friendship also means without issue. Which school do you want to go to? Oh, man, what do you want to pursue? Where do you want to live? How many kids? You know, those things can come up at that level. Yeah. But sometimes we get married. Then we ask, by the way,
how many kids?
How many kids do you have? Na majina, by the way, me where I'm from, we name them like this.
This is how we do it.
And it's already, so that feels like it's too late. It's not too late.
Yeah.
The friendship factor. I think today, if there's anything I'm going to say, it's the friendship factor.
Yeah.
Because then it's not, if your marriage is sumbuing, is there a time machine? You know, you ask, can we go back? Let me find someone else.
Yeah.
But so let me do that. Let's click it. We've gone back. So I'm not with Sarah now. I'm just myself. So I find Mary. Martha. Mary and Martha from the Bible. So chagua moja. There was one at the feet of Jesus and then jikoni. So even if you could do that, it's still me figuring out this other person the same way I figured out Sarah, where we are up to where we are today.
Yeah.
So really, it's not about changing the spouse. It's about changing your... We don't see the world the way it is. Well, let me say that. We don't see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. So if I'm a bitter single person, selfish, manipulative single person, that's who Sarah is getting. It's not that somehow we get married and now the fruits of the Holy Spirit now those should be kicking in, me and Jesus abiding. John 15, remain in me. If my word remains in you, ask. Now in the marriage, ask whatever you wish and it will be given to you. Now, I sound like prosperity, but I'm actually saying, according to the word of God, ask. But you have to do the abiding. The abiding is the foundation. So even with your spouse, abide. Remain with them. It's tough. Remain with them. So even now people see you as a spouse, even if, how do I put this well? Even if you have a challenging spouse, huyo ananisumbua, your ability to remain is a testimony. Now, I'm not saying if the house is on fire and people are burning each other with boiling water, now stabbing each other with knives. Now, we can talk about toxic environments and that you might, again, counseling, that you need some kind of intervention. But not with a view of, nitupe huyu and I find another one.
No.
Again, biblical Christian marriage is that your ability to remain. It's now you see we've gone now even past visions and dreams of this is how do we just stay together? So that now each of us are growing, each of us are achieving what we need to. In the marriage, we're growing. Children are finding us and they're learning, so mommy and daddy, sometimes they talk to each other harshly, but they love each other to death. But nimeona mzee amekasirika. Go and tell your mother. The food is in the kitchen. Go tell your father the food is. So, but they can tell this, but we are genuine about it. But it's not abusive and toxic. And now, I think those are the things now when the toxicity is so high, people wish they would have someone else. Really? I'm the one who's toxic. And I'm the one in that environment. So nikitoka, that's what and so there's a lot of bitterness, I think, around Christian marriage. that, again, the nakedness is exposed. So people who are single, they're like, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, do you want a friend? Do you want someone you can confide in? Do you want... It's funny, if you ask ladies, what do you want? Do you know, even in our marriage seminars, we ask all the time. The wives say, I need someone sensitive, someone who listens to me, someone who can empathize. And the more she talks, I'm like, you're describing a woman.
Yeah.
Because it's a woman talking about what she wants.
Yeah.
So men who get married, we learn those they're called soft skills. You know me, I told you, we are hardcore.
Yeah.
So we know how to move from A to B.
Yes.
We are project oriented. So even sometimes when we date, we are very flexible. It's interesting. Let's go back to Java for a minute. Ako kahawa.
Yeah.
When you're dating and everything, do you know how flexible we are? And how emotional we can be? Was it?
Yeah.
The ones we are saying, Simiti, we are soft.
Yeah.
Because we know we are so good at wooing. But somehow when we are married, the wooing, some say the music stopped.
My wife told me and shared and said, you people change when you get married. Yeah. What you used to do, all of a sudden, imeisha. That slapped me. Alikuwa ananiongelesha. Nilijua. Nimwambia siongee na mimi direct. Wacha kwenda around.
Say it as it is.
Say it as it is. Say, we jamaa. And that actually, now you've mentioned that. Yeah. And it reminded me of that conversation because indeed, some of the things we used to do while we were dating, we could find time.
It was so flexible. Yeah. And by the way, let me ask you, were we millionaires when we were dating? That's a crazy thing. They did not marry us. Okay, now I don't know who's out there. Maybe they married you for your money. But at least the girl is looking and thinking, I can work with this one.
Yeah. This one.
So
yes.
what? Yeah. So how come now we are into the hundreds of thousands in terms of there's like a marriage, there are kids, kuna manyumba,
exactly.
There's a kakayo, those things. How come we have more issues then? But it seemed when there was no money. I'm telling you, guys out there, friendship. Just write it down because friendship doesn't sound like marriage, but there's no marriage without a dynamic, healthy marriage without a friendship. Because a friend will give you space. Yes. A friend will listen. A friend will guide. A friend, friends. Yes. So if your wife becomes your best friend, I'm not saying that now you don't have men who you can consult with and you can build cars and do men things, you know. It's just that in the friendship of that marriage, when the issues come, there's a soft place to land. And don't forget, you don't go home with your friends.
No. No, you
don't. Not home na mom.
Yes.
So you need to have some. And then again, you said about the older seasons of life, that the children are gone, they have their own lives. It's the friendship that will keep you guys together. Otherwise, and then don't forget, I was competent at my job. I'm just using myself as an example. So you serve for many years, and then now you are supposed to, if your career-wise marketplace, you're supposed to retire. So now these people, banker, whatever, lawyer, all those now pilots, these things we're saying, you can't do those things at that level of competence. So now the issue is, and retiring is not a bad thing. Yes, my version of my definition of retirement, you take the old tires and you put new tires. That's retiring. It means you find something to do with your hands. And if you don't, you waste away. I mean, all of us, we can tell stories all over the net about the loss of that qualification. You know that everybody knew you were drivers. You had, then all of a sudden you're told boss, and you're even called boss.
Boss. Yes.
So now who's calling you boss? When you're home, you're looking for your kids now. Ajiku, need the boss.
Boss. I'm the boss.
Your wife is the driver. I need to be. So that's where now the tricky thing, you have to keep the marriage. Friendship. So when in Mkubwa, then you're a big guy. Guys call you. So you're with the president and your wife is calling you, you pick the call. Then you tell the president, my wife said hi. Do you get what that does for your wife? I don't want to. Let me step out of there. Does your wife have constant access? Because when you retire, it's the same dynamic. So people will be thinking, you guys look so young. Yeah. It's not age, young. No. You're so dynamic that for that age, you're blowing us away.
Yeah.
Others are wasting away, but you guys are still going. You're still. So even the visions and dreams that's where they lead us. It means we build something together in our marriage that will last a lifetime. Now, what did I tell you about marriage? Marriage is the place you come to wait for Jesus.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Because it's kind of pointless to be waiting with this one, you get tired of waiting. It's like now you're tired of Jesus, or you're tired of your spouse, or you're tired of both. So many people, when the marriages break, their faith breaks.
Triple effect.
I'll leave that on the pot for a minute. A lot of people, because that was my life. It was I put all my hopes and my dreams into this marriage. So let alone now break up when you're still single, and that one we know.
Yeah.
Hey, you're drinking Java, then you're like this we're breaking. Are you breaking up with me? Na hiyo ninasumbua ndoa.
Yeah.
Now there's children, there's all these, the finances, and you've brought 2 families, villages.
Yes.
Now you're pulling it. So we have a thing with Sarah, we teach our couples. We take a jar of salt. Salt is which color? White.
White.
So we normally say that's the bride. A jar of salt and a jar of tea leaves. Tea leaves is nice and brown.
Yeah.
So majani ni ya chai. Salt, we all know salt, even before fridges. Salt was used for keeping fish fresh.
Yeah.
You have a wound, you put salt. If there's nothing else around you but kuna chumvi, it can actually treat a wound and keep it from infection. So we say that these two now, the wife, being the salt, the picture of the salt, and the man being the picture of the majani, we pour the two into one jar. We actually do this in our premarital class, and they pour it in. Now, I don't know if in your mind you can imagine a mixture of a bowl with salt and tea leaves.
Yeah.
Right there, we tell them, take it back. We mixed it now. How do you take the salt back?
You can't.
I had a guy who told me you can. Weka maji moto. I was like, okay. Which means the sodium chloride will disappear. Si kwa maji, imeenda. But you have maji moto. It activates the majani.
Dissolves.
So the majani waters the salt.
Yeah.
If you do your distillation, whatever process, you condense. So now you have your crystals forming. That salt will look brown. Because imefuatwa in the steam, it was followed. Then the tea leaves that you're left with, which is a flavor component now, has the salt in it. The flavor of the salt.
Yeah.
And it's weakened because every time, and we know the tea bag, every time you use a tea bag, it weakens. You can't keep, so you now use a fresh tea bag. So it's diluted and it is salty. The salt is brown and it has a flavor of majani kwa umbali. So that is what people try to do every day. They mix their salt and tea leaves, and then they give me my tea leaves back. Now, mwanaume, give me my tea leaves back. Wanawake, in 2025, give me my salt back. So then you take that mixture and then you add now mchanga, because you've gone to another one. And then you add now CBT, you add so that mix and the ability now to live and to cleave biblically is compromised. So me, I would say, your marriage is fine.
Your marriage is fine. Because
if your marriage is hard, for better, for worse, okay, that makes sense. If your marriage is sick, in sickness, so I think sometimes we are not giving ourselves enough grace. That marriage is not meant to be, those picture perfect. So me, I want joy. Perfect. I want money. I want. But when we started, we didn't have those. Even when I was dating, we were like, oh my God, no, let's date. Let's come. Your date. Let's Nikoda Homa. I tell my chick, you wait, but let's meet next week. By next week, and what happened? Then I'm thinking, I didn't want to give it to you. So what is so much this thing that we can't stand it anymore? And I think for us believers, and okay, now maybe to speak to the Church of Christ. In our preaching of the word, let's talk more about marriage. And I don't mean the perfection, picture of perfection from our altars. I just mean men who are willing to stay with their wives who are submitting to husbands who are dead. I don't know if you're getting a concern. It's been, women need to submit. These women are kichwa ngumu ni kama these women are too much for. No, these men are still alive. Bado. Put them back in the office. So it's a two-way street. It's not just, and especially in this show as men talking, and we're talking about marriage, the wives can feel, which I think next time I need to come with my wife, is that the women shouldn't feel that the men are talking, but the women are not being covered. I think men are not doing enough die, to bring their wives to life. And someone asked me a very interesting question the other day. Now in a marriage, who gives who what first? Let me ask the question again. Who gives who what first? Yeah. Now all the men are going to hate me. But I think you know where this is coming from. It's the man. You have to be the one, because now if it's true that we are the hard ones, we are the tough ones, we can face the lion at the gate. Can you imagine ni usiku, you hear kurugurugu downstairs, you tell the wife, me I checked yesterday. You're the one unatokana na boxer ukisema hata kama ni leo ni leo. This is my house. What are you doing? You know, men, then let's be men. That we give our wives a love first. We give them the affirmation first. We listen to their dreams. And now that kind of a man, their wife will leave them.
No. They will easily.
And then, so even now, the women who feel, hey, I would have married that one. How does that make your wife feel?
Yeah.
And then you're telling her every day, I choose you. Now, another thing that happens, we're growing older in marriage.
Yeah.
So there will always be younger, rounder women. So, and Job made a vow. He said, I made a vow with my eyes. So when you affirm your wife and she knows you're not blind. And she's also not blind. So how is it that your marriage is just growing? You're choosing each other every day. And then, you know, of course, now, let me just say this. Marriage is momentum. You stay long enough in enough conflicts. Alafu mwachane aje. Now you're like, I go now dating again.
No. Tedious.
Now you take so mshipi unavaa asubuhi, you put it around the skirt, unafunga hapa mbele. As in the two of us now the Bible comes to life. The two shall become one.
Yeah. Financially,
emotionally, spiritually, biashara, everything.
It's one.
It's one.
Everything.
It's one.
Yeah.
It's one. And if this is a challenge to someone out there, friendship. Just go back to when you were friends. Like, think about how you met. Because nobody meets and thinks, I'm going to destroy your life. But that's where, you know, now the toxicity reaches. It's like, now, if I can't be happy, even you won't be happy. Now you're sabotaging one another's happiness. I don't think that's, or fulfillment. I shouldn't say happiness. Fulfillment in terms of God's purpose for you. So to believers who are having marriages that are struggling, it's not that you need to change your spouse.
No. Befriend you.
Befriend your enemy. The Bible says, love your enemies.
Yeah.
Pray for those who persecute you. So even if anakusumbua, bend.
Rev.
We don't have enough time.
We don't have enough time. Actually, we are actually over time now. The director atatumaliza hapa.
Anafanya
anajaribu kuamka.
Hata imezimwa.
Thank you so much, Rev.
Thank you for having me.
I tell you for free, without even consulting the director and the producers. You will be back. And Madam Sarah will be back as well. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
That was an eye-opener. Just the foundation. Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you so very much. So many lessons to take home. But the one that I'm taking home with this morning, I should be friends with my wife.
Kabisa.
Because tukipewa pale as friends, I will still take care of her.
There's flex, yeah.
There's flexibility.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Karibu.
Regards to Madam.
Asante.
Ajiandae.
Next time.
Yes, next time. Thank you so very much.
God bless you.
It's been real, and I know that you are blessed, that you are challenged. I told you that you will not be the same by the time we are finishing. Share the link with someone you think, your spouse, your friends. They need to hear this. Your marriage care group, they need to hear this as well. So that we, as Rev has reminded us, we need more healthier Christian marriages out there. So share this link. God willing, we will be here tomorrow morning doing the same. Beyond the Melody will be the segment with Maria Makao Mundi. We meet tonight, or rather not tonight, tomorrow night. That is on Men on Record, as we discuss matters touching on men. From me, John Gishoro, it's wishing you a blessed and a fruitful day ahead. Kwaheri.